We are into our Urban Decay section. Our first clip from Urban Decay, the overall theme of this week's Urban Decay is where are the kids safe? From that cringe of the week, we just kind of proved that kids aren't really safe in schools or even at the hospital.
Yeah.
So there's two places your kids aren't safe.
Definitely not in the back room of a hospital with a psychologist talking about gender.
Yeah, in Boston or the Northeast, you're kind of in trouble. Or even Georgia, apparently now. So let's see if kids are safe in extracurricular activities like football. Football should be a good place where people are safe. Let's see what's going on in our Urban Decay first clip. These football coaches are fighting.
Old head ref tries to break it up.
And then the guns come out. This is in front of the whole football team.
Fight breaks out.
And he needed to kill that guy.
5 shots fired at the youth football game.
We need to kill that guy. We got into a fight. We disagreed on something. I had to pull out my gun, which I had at practice, and I had to shoot that guy and kill him in front of all the kids.
I get it. That's reasonable. That's what kids sports are all about.
You know what men are
killing
like.
your rival's coach.
Yeah.
That's it. We've seen it. Tale as old as time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so this was actually the brother of NFL star Aqib Talib, who is a defensive back. I think he's a corner. Longtime Denver Bronco. Turned himself in after a 2-day manhunt following the suspected shooting death of a rival youth football coach. So just went on the lam, said, whatever this argument is, it's worth my entire freedom.
My entire life, your whole life, you've done so many things. You were born, you went to school.
I'm assuming he played football for a long time.
You did all of these things to get you to wherever you're at, good or bad. And now that is all thrown away. You're going to jail for a long time because you snapped.
And what did that do to the psyche of the kids who were at the game and who witnessed a murder? We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'm sure we will find out. A lot of lessons learned on the field these days.
Yep.
Our next clip, the Child Protective Service worker. I'll just leave it at that because you guys will see what it is.
An employee with Child Protective Services is caught on camera telling a 14-year-old girl in foster care to become a prostitute.
That's right, and this girl is one of hundreds of kids in CPS custody living in hotels all over the state.
Yeah, Jonathan. Now, earlier this year, a federal judge scorned Child Protective Services for making kids available for prostitution in the CPS system. Now we have a case where an employee with that state agency is actually encouraging prostitution of a 14-year-old child.
You're gonna be a hoe, be a real hoe. Wouldn't they remove a child?
You're gonna be a hoe, be a real hoe.
Yeah, and this was after it had happened already several times to the point where the 14-year-old girl needed to film it.
Yeah.
So that's the clip we got. You're gonna be a hoe, be a real hoe.
Yeah, sounds like a sex trafficking ring.
Yeah,
sounds like an underage orphan sex trafficking ring in Houston. That's what that sounds like to me. And you'd think Child Protective Services is a place where children can get taken away from problematic parents and hopefully put into a better situation. Well, you get taken away from problematic parents and then ushered into prostitution
by some fat woman who barely has a college degree or something.
Yeah,
and who
also has 9 children herself.
Well, the mom,
the lady who said that, has 9
really?
children herself, and they're all. This is just basically the way I see it from a spiritual perspective. This is just like openly sacrificing the children. Like you're sacrificing the kids to not God, obviously, to some sort of satanic entity, the devil, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it looks to me.
Yeah, it's just incredibly sad. Like, what are we doing here in society?
That's why it's in Urban Decay. Our next clip, Minneapolis no-go zones. Yeah. So Minneapolis, after, what was it, 2020?
2020, they had the brunt of the riots, obviously. The targets had to be looted after the George Floyd incident. Fires everywhere, stuff like that. And then COVID happened.
It's been 2 years.
A little double whammy. Actually, COVID happened, then the riots happened, because as we all know, the riots were okay during COVID. Everyone else had to be social distance.
Same rules as the monkeypox guys.
Yes.
You can't tell the rioters not to riot.
Yes.
You can tell the Christians not to go to church. You can't tell the rioters not to riot. You can't tell the gays to stop clucking.
So this is Scott Jensen. He's a governor candidate in Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Dr. Scott Chancellor, and I'm running to be the next governor of Minnesota. I'm in downtown Virginia, talking to real people. There's real questions. Pam?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
A question was just asked a few moments ago. When was the last time you folks went downtown Minneapolis?
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID.
Would you go down there now?
No, we have not been there.
Prior to COVID, prior to the riots, would you go downtown Minneapolis?
Yes.
What
yes.
kind of things might you do downtown?
Twins games.
Twins games?
Yeah. Shopping.
Dinner, something like
Dinner.
that. Folks, when someone says that Minneapolis is safe again, I don't think they're telling the truth. I think we love Minneapolis, we love St. Paul, we love our state. But denying the reality of what Minneapolis has gone through and is going through every day, every week, every month, denying what's real isn't healthy. So when Tim Walz tells us that everything's okay, it's not.
It's not okay. Downtown is a mess, never recovered from COVID, just too much crime. All the crimes that we're seeing now are just what we used to be one-off things or happening at night or in certain bad areas are now just happening in broad daylight in the middle of downtown. That's happening in cities across the entire country.
Yep.
And Minneapolis was the same city that had that teacher union thing where they recommended that the teacher union fire white teachers first.
Yeah, Minneapolis Teachers Union agreement stipulates white teachers be laid off first, regardless of seniority. The agreement reached last spring exempt teachers from underrepresented populations from seniority-based layoffs.
Which is interesting because you're kind of saying like being white is the problem. And this is not what I'm saying here. But if you were looking at Minneapolis, and this is not what I'm saying here, wouldn't you see that and be like, oh, like the black people were the ones who looted and are the ones doing the crimes and the ones killing everybody. And then wouldn't you extrapolate, which is not what I'm saying here, and say like, oh, like this is who is the problematic group, but it's not that, it's the old white people. They jump to the conclusion that it's the old white people who are the problems.
Yeah, the seniority white people.
The old white teachers who have been there for a while are the problem, not the other groups that are in your face ruining the city. But I didn't say that. That's just what I'm wondering.
That's like a hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical. I'm wondering. It's like, oh, Minneapolis. You look at it like this, objectively. Okay, who's doing the crimes? Who's doing the killings? Who's doing the lootings? Who burned the city down? Let's fire the white people. I don't get the math.
It's a leap. It's a leap. And here's a sentence from the article. It says, to remedy the continuing effects of past discrimination, Minneapolis Public Schools and the Federation mutually agreed to contract language that aims to support the retention of teacher from underrepresented groups. And it's to remedy the continuing effects of past discrimination. Just like
that's what the problem is.
We need racism to stop the old racism. New racism comes in.
So we have to go from here to make, it doesn't go to even. It has to go offense for the people who were discriminated against.
And this is another one of those things where it's like this stupid woke teacher federation or whatever makes a giant grab. They're like, hey, 4 out of 5 of us are super woke. Let's make the money grab now. And it's almost certainly unconstitutional. Like, we created laws for black people in these older, in the 60s and all that, created amendments, literal constitutional amendments, and now it's like, white people first. Look, we are doing something based on race immediately.
Yeah.
So, and we've kind of seen that recently with COVID too. I think there was a $10 million settlement reached with some hospital workers who over the vaccine mandate.
Yes.
And so it's like these money grabs, these are not money grabs, they're power grabs really, or woke grabs, or
unconstitutional woke grabs.
Yeah, they happen, and there's this kind of moral panic, or like, what are we going to do? Am I going to lose my job? I'll get the vaccine. But you always follow up. You always win in court later.
It creates like a gray area of like, oh, I don't know what to do. Let's get vaccinated or I'll quit my job. But then it always kind of gets settled out, hopefully, afterwards, where it's like, that was unconstitutional. You owe them $10 million. You were right for not getting vaxxed. You're hired back.
Exactly.
Which is what we always encourage everyone to do, is just wait it out.
Stand tall, wait it out. If you get fired, eat it, and, get a good lawyer or get on a class action suit or something.
Yeah.
Because
we'll send you a base mug.
This shit ain't right. We'll send you a base mug. So
next clip, the white privileged kid.
Actually, hold on. I want to say something. I actually had a post deleted on my Instagram on this subject. I literally took the screenshot of the headline of the Fox article about stipulates white teachers be laid off first. and then I put the image of the guy opening your eyes underneath it, like opening your eyes, and they deleted it for hate speech. So me trying to publicize anti-white, racism, hate, whatever, discrimination, got me deleted. So
can't have that.
R.I.P.
Can't have you talking back to George Soros's friends.
Yeah, exactly. Foot soldiers.
Next clip. Should we do the lady cops fight or the white privilege kid crying?
Well, we're on the white thing. Let's go to the white privilege kid.
Yeah. So this is what happens.
This is the product of public school.
How can a child born in an abusive drug and alcohol abuse home, who lost her entire biological family, that has experienced all forms of abuse and neglect, be privileged? But I was told that I was so upset I would cry myself to sleep. They are trying to divide us into two groups instead of bringing us together as one. Every day I felt less and less valued as a student and failed every class this past year. Academics are not important here, only making sure we learn about sexuality, political topics, and emotional topics that teachers may or may not be able to handle, especially with trauma children like myself. I'm happy to move on and begin a fresh start and hope that this next school will love me for me.
That's sad.
Incredibly sad.
Kids
a literal
crying.
abuse victim was being told they were privileged just because of the color of their skin by teachers at some shitty school.
Who are also explaining sex topics and all the weird stuff that we talk about in Cringe of the Week.
Well, it all goes hand in hand. We know it at this point. The ideology, it's all one, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if you're getting the sex stuff, then they're doing the race stuff too.
Yeah.
So if you see anything, it's like a cockroach in your house or something. If you see one, there's 40 somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
So
they're not teaching them anything else. No one knows, how many moons the Earth has. No one knows 3 times 3 times 3 or what a triangle is. But they do know the sex stuff, and they do know who the good guys and the bad guys are. And the bad guys are the white people, and the good guys are anyone else.
Yep.
And even if you see people from the anyone else group doing all these horrible things and crimes and looting, that doesn't count. You're the bad person. You're the privileged one. Cry yourself to sleep.
Yep. Sad.
Very sad. Last clip of Urban Decay, the cop fight.
Yeah, this is 2 women Chicago police officers.
Shit.
Hey!
Bitch!
Oh my God!
So everyone's fired, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's fired, I hope, right?
Actually, you know what? I don't want anybody fired for that. I just think it looks trashy, and clearly these women are weak. But if 2 cops had a disagreement and they fought it out respectfully,
And they were stable enough to not pull their guns out?
exactly. I'm okay with that.
I handle it the old-fashioned way.
I'm okay with that kind
Men
of
and
society.
women are the same. Men go handle it out in the street. Women can too.
I guess it just looks sloppy. They're both fat, out of shape, like losers.
Yeah.
Who
Very
probably got
sloppy.
hired on a diversity quota and probably got a special exception on the upper body strength portion of the test.
Yeah. Pull-ups used to be 10 pull-ups. Now there's no pull-up section.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, where are the kids safe? They're not safe in after-school activities. They're not safe in school. They're not safe at the hospitals. They're not safe with the police officers. Where else are they not safe?
CPS for sure.
Yeah, if you have a bad situation and they get taken by Child Protective Services, they're definitely not safe there either.
Yep.
So now's the time to kind of account for the children in your lives and make sure they're safe. And everyone kind of has to do that themselves because the government funded public resources that are supposed to do that are very far from doing that.
You know how there's always like the one Jewish kid in Catholic schools?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one or two who's just like, yeah, it's just the best school in the area. Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a lot more of that, like non-religious or a different religion sending their kids to Catholic or private school or something.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you send your kid to this public school churn thing at this point, you're just asking for issues.
Yeah.
Tons of issues. And
especially if like the economy's bad and like both parents are working and like they're distracted by so many things to provide for the family because like inflation's bad, gas prices are bad, the economy's bad,
yeah.
No one's got real jobs. So it's like you have even less attention on the children than ever, it feels like.
Yeah, their cell phones and TVs are raising them more than ever. Netflix is
100%.
as gay as it gets.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're kind of fucked.
I guess this is just the podcast of like, you need to fight if you want your kid to be normal. It used to be extremely easy. It used to be very easy to get a normal kid. You send them to public school, they learn math and science.
And they got tough.
They got a little bit tough.
Fight a little bit. They play sports.
You know, Michael Malice got beat up. He got stuffed into a trash can. But everybody else made it out. And so now it's just, it's as bad as it's ever been.
Yeah, now the bullied kids are in charge and they're bullying back.